The recruiter answers the phone, and now it's time for you to be able to ask your questions. What do you need to ask them?
Twisted.
So what you want to kind of do is ask your recruiter some questions like, what is the turnaround of the application? Like, how long does it take for this application to go through before you hit orientation? How long is orientation going to be? How longer am I going to be out with a trainer? How long am I going to, it's going to be till I take my test? You know, there's a lot of questions that you need to go over with a recruiter. You know, how about, is the tuition paid for? Like, do I have to pay it back? Do I have to sign a contract? You know, can I get a copy of the contract before I even go? That way I can read over it and look at it. So, you know, with the first thing, it's more about the application process. You want to get all the information you can. Do y'all drug test? If y'all do, is it urine or hair follicle? You know, everything that has to do with orientation. What's the criminal background check gonna look like? Jobs, like my current employee histories, like how much of that, how far back do y'all go on that? You know, tickets, I had this ticket and this ticket and this ticket, are y'all accepting me because of this? A lot of the times the application process is going to be where you get turned down first thing, so get that out of the way first. Then after that, it's time to talk money. You want to know how much you're getting paid. You don't want to go be working for free. So you need to find out if you're getting paid cent per mile. You're going to find out if you're going to get paid revenue. What percentage is the revenue? Is there a fuel surcharge? You know, if you're going on the lease side, how much of the fuel surcharge do you get for running that load? You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So if it's cent per mile, find out the cent per mile. If it's the revenue, find out the revenue. But you also want to know about detention pay. How long do you have to be somewhere before detention pay kicks in? And how much is the detention pay? And does the detention pay stop after a certain amount of hours? You know, you also got the layover pay. Also, how much does layover pay cost? Or do I get paid? How much is breakdown pay worth? You know, that's some of the stuff that's going to affect your pay. You need to be able to understand like what they're paying you for, what kind of bonuses they throw in. You know, if you do more miles, do you get a bonus on top of that of a cent per mile? You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into your pay. Do you pay for CAT scales? Like if I had to go get my load reweighed, are you going to pay for my CAT scale ticket? Are you going to pay for the washouts and the equipment wash? Because nobody wants to be rolling around out there in a dirty truck, do you? So make sure you get to find out if they wash how often can you get a washout? Like how often can you get the truck washed? Do they pay for lumpers? You know, what's the average pay of a driver right now? Either a company driver, ask them what's the average pay of a company driver, see what they come up with, because they're expecting you to be like, all right, my pay should be, let's see, they pay this per mile and I've drove this many miles a week. How many miles a week do we get? So they already kind of know that you have a figure there, but whenever you hit them with that question, what's the average driver make on the company side? They're all like, oh no, like I got to answer this. You know, what's the average pay of a lease driver? What's the average pay of an owner op driver? You know, that way you can kind of get an average to like a base to start with whenever it comes to pay. Anything else you can think about asking about pay, like ask for it. Vacation time, the benefits. What kind of benefits do y'all have? Do y'all have health benefits? Is it only for the company drivers? Is it for the lease drivers? Who all gets these benefits? Then next, I think should be questions about the vehicle and the equipment that you're driving, like, and that you're pulling. Like, what type of trucks are these? Are they Freightliners? Are they Volvos? Are they Peterbilt? Or what are they? Because then you kind of get a better understanding of what kind of equipment you're dealing with. A lot of people have different preferences on trucks. If you're new to the industry, then, I mean, it really doesn't matter too much. What you need to also know is, are there automatics or manuals. So if you have a CDL already with a restriction on it for that you can't drive a manual, then if you ask them, hey, do y'all drive automatics or manuals, and they say, hey, we drive mostly manuals, well, I have a restriction on my license. Is there going to be opportunity to put me in the automatic truck, or I can't drive a manual? I'm not going to risk my CDL by driving one whenever I'm not allowed to. And that could, if you're new to the company, that could be a deal breaker right there. You don't want an automatic restriction on your license. You want no restrictions on your license. So you're not even going to give them a look, give that company a chance, because you're like, nope, not today, sucker. But next, how old are the trucks? Like how long do y'all keep trucks on y'all's fleet before y'all circulate them? Like, you sell those and buy new ones? Like, is it just run it till it dies, or is it like 4 years old, 5 years old? Is it a mileage that they hit that you're going to get rid of them at? Like, you want to know about this stuff. And that goes with the trailers too. The trailers, you want to know if they're running reefer, if they're running drive-in, if they're running flatbed, tanker, whatever the case may be. How old are those trailers, and how often do they circulate them out? Do they keep the trailers until they just fall apart and they're not usable anymore, or are they gonna replace them? Also, the APU. Is your truck going to have an APU, or are you going to have to idle the truck, or is it an EPU? What kind of system do you have when the truck's off and I'm in there sleeping? Do I want to be the guy with the windows down and the box fan on in the middle of Texas and the 100 and something degree truck whenever it's like 90 outside, but it's 100 and something in the truck, and you're sweating and you're sleeping in pretty much your boxers only? Like, or do you have the windows up and that APU or EPU or whatever system they have, tri-pack, whatever the case may be? Is that thing running to keep you nice and cool and you're just chilling in there? That's one of the things that you need to know. Also, whenever it comes to these trucks, who's doing the maintenance on them? Do you have to bring it back to the yard and their shop takes care of it, or can you take it anywhere? Who pays for the maintenance? Who pays for the oils? Who pays for the coolant? Who pays for the windshield wiper? Who pays for the mud flaps? Like, you gotta make sure that everything is, like, especially if you're a company driver, like, you got to make sure that this company's paying for that stuff. You want to make sure that you're not going to one of these companies where they're all like, well, you're going to pay for it and we're going to reimburse you on your check for it. No, this ain't happening like that, because at the end of the day, you're probably going to get screwed on the deal, because, you're going to pay taxes on that stuff and you're going to pay for it all. You're going to send in your receipt. They might pay you this week. They might pay you the next week. They might get in a bind and not pay you, depending on the company. Like, it's better that you have like a maintenance card, or they open up your fuel card to get items that you might need. Then we get to the next question. Local, OTR, regional. Are we running East Coast? Are we running West Coast? Are we running the South? Are we running only one state? What are we running here? We need to know where the freight's going. We need to know, like, is there certain states that you stay out of? Is there touch freight? Am I going to have to unload everything, or is this non-touch freight? Because if it's non-touch freight, then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to touch the freight. But if it's touch freight, now you're jumping into that next question. Well, how much do y'all pay me for unloading this? So we jump back to question number 2. In the same category, we jump up there and we're all like, so how much do you pay for me to unload this? How much do you pay for me to strap this load? How much do you pay for me to tarp this load? Don't be out there doing all that work for free. Nobody likes working for free. So make sure you find out where you're running to, stuff like that. Regional, I've done a video. If you'll click the little bar up there, that just popped up, then you will see the video of local, OTR, regional. That way you can get an idea of what I'm talking about there. But you need to know where you're running. You need to know if you're west of the like if you're west of the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi, stuff like that. That way you can understand where you're located, where you're going to be out of. Back to question one, you know, about the orientation process. You can jump right back into that and you can say, hey, where's the terminal going to be located that I'm going to go to? Is it going to be like in 2 states for me, 3 states for me? How am I going to get there? Transportation, stuff like that. But the main focus is where am I going to be running at? Because there's some places, like if I took a job and I didn't ask that, I might get a job where they're all like, yeah, we run Maine to New York every day. Like that's what you're going to run. What? Wintertime? Nah, man, I'm good. I'm good on that. Like I'm not trying to run that. Or maybe we go from Colorado to California and that's it. It's a dedicated run. Like, yeah, that's a lot of trips over Vail and stuff like that. I mean, like, know where you're going. I'm not saying that you can't make those trips and you can't make money doing that, but sometimes you want to see more than just one highway, unless you're that local guy that's going DC to DC and that's all you want to do. So that brings us to my question number 5, home time. We got to know about home time. Everybody wants to know about home time. So what's y'all's policy on home time for a company driver? They're going to tell you whatever it is, and that might make it or break it. You are coming out here trucking, and for the most part, people know that it's over the road job, that you're going to be away from home and you're going to be out here doing this. Some people don't know it. Lease, how often do lease guys go home? What is the policies on home time? Like am I still out the truck payment when I'm on home time? Stuff like that. You need to know, like, vacation time also is in there too. I know we covered it in question 2, but hey, when do I get vacation time? That's part of home time. You want to ask questions also like, hey, I live in Florida. How's the freight here? Is the freight good? And they're going to be like, it's going to be harder to get you home, but we usually have you go to this DC we have a contract with in Georgia, and then we just deadhead you from there. Or we might, have you deadhead in somewhere and get a load out when you come back out. Or maybe it's good paying to go home, but when you're coming out, they might have to deadhead you somewhere or something like that. You need to find out, like, how the freight is in your area for that company, because you might be like, man, I got this Walmart right here. Like it's gonna, like, this big distribution Walmart right here. I'll be good every time I go on home time and leave home time. Well, you might be on the tanker side. That Walmart doesn't want your tanker stuff. That's a distribution center. It might be harder for you to get home. Also, go ahead and ask. We're talking about home time, so it makes you think about your family and stuff like that. So let's get the pets. Is there a pet policy? What's the pet policy? Is there a deposit? Rider policy. Can I have my spouse on my truck? Can I bring my kid on the truck sometimes? There's a lot of questions that you need to ask. And this right here is just some of the questions that I picked to when you're talking to a recruiter. To me, I think that it would be a good idea to start asking these questions as you're dealing with recruiting. And just so you know, at the end of the day, there's some companies that the recruiter will make it all sound like it's peachy out here, and this is the best company ever. Make sure you do your own research before you call that company. Make sure that you're picking the right place to even talk to, and then start hitting them with those hard questions. Knowledge is power. Make a good, informed, sound decision in this trucking game. Still enjoying the great content? Click that next video right there to keep yourself informed. Knowledge is power. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to every video. Also, make sure that you're dropping that referral code on that driver application, COXDJO.